Hello and welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda and we're here with another episode of the Orphan Block Challenge. I have gotten rid of a lot of blocks, orphan blocks, and made them into beautiful quilt tops for charities. So today we're going to talk to you about coping strips and how to apply coping strips and make them fit around your block properly, and how to make your block better. So we're going to have that today. But before we go any further, I want to introduce you to Emma at the 10 Minute Quilter. Now her channel is very interesting. It's got a lot of great videos on there, so you might want to go check her out. And when you do, tell her that Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you. We also have in the show notes below our Zoom sew dates. That's where we go to a Zoom, Z-O-M-M, Z-O-O-M. Sorry, I don't know how to spell Zoom today. So we go to, and we have dates all set up from now until the end of December. Now those sew dates are a lot of fun. But we also have a Facebook group where we're making use of the room. So those sew dates are like 24/7. And normally when the ladies are going in there, they let people know that they're there so that, you know, other ladies can join them. So those have been a lot of, we've met some lovely people there, and it's nice to get to know some of the members within your group, right? So we're also doing the, you know, the typical share pictures of what we're working on, ask questions. It's been a lot of fun and very interesting. It's growing very quickly. So come on in, let's get to the sewing here today. Okay, so this is our block. It measures unfinished 15 1/4. So that means it's going to finish in a quilt at 14 3/4, which doesn't match up to anything. So you have to have some kind of common size measurements or whatever. Now, I could cut this up or I could cut this down, but then I lose all these cool little points, and they're, you know, they're kind of wonky. They're going this way and that. They're fun, right? I don't want to lose those points. But 15 1/4 is kind of a tough game. So coping strips help us make the block just a bit longer, or just a bit wider and longer. Now, if I went with a 1.5 strip all 4 sides, then trim down, I could trim it down to 16 1/2, but I would have to go all 4 sides, right? And I would be sliver trimming around. Or I could just do 2 sides and have kind of an uneven finished block, and that would work. Now the closest color I have in my stash right now to any of this is this blue strip, and it kind of goes. I wish I had some more of that purple, because that would have been cool too, but it is what it is. Now I got a small space. I'm going to try and cut everything here that I need. So this 2-inch, I've got the edges, I'm going to take those off. And it's a solid, so essentially it's good either way. Now, I can measure this to 15 1/4, or I can sew it. Now, if I sew it like this, I can't see my points, and I will probably cut off my points because it doesn't work that way. This will not work for me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure this just to make sure I've got good coverage. It's the right size before I start, and I will just, okay, move this around a bit so I can cut my strip. There we go. So I'm not doing any dangerous overhand cutting or something where I'm going to slice my finger yet again. There we go. So that now is cut at the right length. Okay. So now, we always do this. We gotta make sure, if we sew like this, we don't see points. If we sew like this, we see some of the thread intersections, right? And that's important. So let's sew from this side. And it depends on whether you want your sun, you know, blue sun thing or moon or spikes to go, right? Is going to, you know, depend on which way you sew this. So I'm just sewing it this way because I like it that way. The thing is, you not to, when you're adding coping strips, not to get too stressed out about stuff. That's, you know, you're going to try your best to make your point. You're not going to get a little, there we go, a little crazy. You're trying to make things work. That's all of this Orphan block challenge is about. Okay, it didn't work for putting into a quilt when I made the quilt originally, so it's got to work now, because this is the last chance, right? So, and don't be afraid to take something apart if it's not working. You know, that's, people forget they can do that. That's okay to do that, you know. That if it's not working, you can take it apart. We have a stitch ripper, you know, but sometimes too, we just have to make it work. Okay. Okay, so now I've got this like this, and I'm just going to finger press this so that all of that seam goes away from all those points. And because I sewed it from the right side, I have perfect points. I mean, this one is a little bit too, but okay. But I mean, this got too much fabric, but that's okay. I'm going to leave it like that. It's going to work. Okay, now we go the other way, and we only have to do one way. We don't have to do both ways. So again, I'm going to set this up so I can cut. So I can set it up, cut it, and be done with it. So I'm going to lay this out nice and straight, nice and flat. When you lay them out like this, you can get them almost perfectly flat. Okay, so here we go. There's my line. I've got a line I can kind of follow. And this goes into back into my 2-inch strip pile, so that's a good place for it to be. Now, again, we do the same thing, except, okay, we have all the points. We can see all. Ooh, this point is right at the top. So it doesn't matter what we're going to do, we're going to miss that point. We're going to mess up. We're going to cut off that point. I'm not going to worry about it. And yes, I'm going to put it within the frame. I'm making it work. No matter what I do, I'm going to make this work. So if I have to cut off the point to make it work, you know, that's okay. I'm going to try to make all the other ones. And if they make all the other ones, people don't notice that you've missed one point. And if your friends point it out to you, get different friends. It's like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. You know, and some of these are on the bias too, right? So they're like a little funky. This piece in particular was given to me by a Gill sister, and I imagine she has been collecting Orphan blocks for a while, so, and that's okay. Run a little leader ender in just to get this out from underneath my, okay, underneath my thing. Now, I'm going to aim for 16 and a half. And the reason I'm aiming for 16 and a half is I want to be able to put it with other 8.5-inch blocks when I sew them together, right? So in order to measure this now, this part here is expendable. This is because it's a coping strip, right? So what you want to do is you want to take your block and line it up the best you can this way. Okay. And we're going to line this up just on this side, and we're going to try and get this to 16 and a half the best we can. Okay. Now, if we were on a bigger table, I would take out a big ruler. I would get my square. It would be all lined up perfectly, right? Because right now I'm trying to cut around 2 hinges on my sewing machine table. So I've got 16 and a half here on this side. And I've got, oh, just a minute here, right down, there we go, oops, 16 and a half, there we go. Now in order to make this 16 and a half, I go like this, and I get that out of the way. Did I not cut it? No, I did. Okay, there I did, and I'm going to move it right to the end, and make sure I've still got a nice straight line. So that's how much of that you're cutting off. So basically, coping strips create an illusion, right, that the block is square. Right, now we're going to do this again. I'm going to lay this all out nice and neat along the one side and lay it flat against here. And it's going to show me, there we go, I'm just going to move this out of the way. And go all the way up. There. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I picked solid. If you use solid coping strips, even if this wobbled a bit, right? Because now this block is measuring 60.5 by 60.5. Even if it wobbled a bit, the illusion is there that this is straight. This is a square block. So let's get to our ta-da moment. So this is our block with a coping strip on. Now we've only got the coping strip on two sides. You could have went with a 1.5 inch strip all the way around all four sides. That's entirely up to you whether you want to frame it or not. I thought at first if I went with a really dark navy all the way around, it would, make the quilt pop. But I thought, no, this is something you guys need to know how to figure out, how to do this. Now there are some rules about when you add coping strips, because coping strips kind of goes with certain blocks. So for instance, this one now is 16.5, so it would go with 2 8s, 4 4.5s, or no, 2 8.5 inch blocks sewn together would make 16.5. It would also go with 4 4.5 inch blocks sewn together. It would also go with 8 2.5 inch blocks, or 16 1.5 inch blocks. So if you had like a tiny little row of something that you wanted to add in between a sashing, or the next row, let's say your row you want is 16.5 for like a table runner, well, this is what kind of blocks you could sew together to make something that's 16.5. Now 10.5 inch unfinished, this is all unfinished sizes, goes with 5.5, 2 5.5s, 4 2 3/4, or 8 and 1 7/4. I know that's, or no, 1 and 1.75. So that's 1 3/4, right? Those are what you would add together to sew together. Just to go one direction. If you want to go both directions, you would have to go, let's say, 4 blocks by 4 blocks, right, to make another block that side. 12.5 is 6.5, 2 6.5s, 4 3.5s, or 6 2 inch blocks. I'm getting a funny look from my cameraman. It was like, whoa! No. Okay, so it's 2 6.5s, 4 3. So it's 8. Yeah, it's 8 2 inch blocks, and 18.5. That's another common size, oversized block. You 2 9.5s, 4 5 inch blocks, or 8 2.75 blocks. So that's 8 and then 8 if you wanted to make another square. The quilting math on this is not that hard to figure out. And you can also, if you're short, you can use yet another coping strip. So let's say I wanted to put on this block, I wanted to put 4.5 inch strips, but when I got to this side, I'm short like an inch because my 4.5 inch blocks weren't really cut properly, or I sewed them too fat or whatever. You can put just another coping strip up here to make this piece now 16 inches tall. Does that make sense? So what you want to do is that's how you can build your blocks. And we'll get more into this on the next one, on the next couple of episodes. There's going to be another episode or two in between here, but that we'll cover this again, so this is not going to be a strange little, like, you're doing what? But anyways, so I hope you had fun with this. I hope you try this method when you're working with your orphan blocks, just to make things bigger and a little easier, and then trim them down to exactly the right size, and then put them into your quilt blocks. So until we meet again, guys, I hope you have an absolutely lovely week ahead. Okay, take care. Bye. My husband and I would love to thank you for all of the amazing people that we have met along this crazy YouTube adventure that we've been having. We do free speaking engagements too, so if you're part of a guild and they're looking for, you know, people to talk and, you know, and chat with, you know, in their monthly meetings, tell them that I'm doing free ones just to help the guilds out, because it's been a tough time for the guilds as well. You know, share, like, and subscribe with your friends. You know, make sure that they're, you know, they get the word out on us. That's the best way you can do to help us out. So until we meet again, I want to thank you. Okay, goodbye.